There comes a time, often after 80, when the world outside moves a little faster and life inside grows a little quieter. The phone doesn't ring as often. The days blend together, and though your heart still beats and your mind still reaches, something within you starts to ask, am I still needed? It's not just age, it's not just luck, and it's certainly not weakness. What quietly shortens life after 80 isn't always found in medical charts or blood tests, but in the small things we stop doing, routines we abandon, connections we let fade, emotions we tuck away, hoping time will dissolve them. In this video, we'll gently explore 5 daily habits that slowly chip away at your health, your spirit, and your will to live. And more importantly, we'll show you what the longest living do instead. If you're here, you matter, so stay with me. And if you feel seen in these words, please like this video, subscribe and comment the number 0 below. Then share your story, because someone else might need to hear it, just like you do. Sometimes the change happens so slowly, you don't even notice it. One morning you wake up and there's no alarm clock, no meeting, no grandchild to prepare breakfast for, no task that really has to be done before noon. You sit in your chair, maybe with your coffee, and everything seems still, peaceful perhaps. But underneath that stillness, something begins to drift, not in a loud or sudden way, but like fog rolling in, quietly dulling the edges of the day. After 80, it's easy to believe this is just how aging works. That slowing down means doing less. That retirement means not having to answer to anything or anyone anymore. But the truth is, our minds, our bodies need structure more than ever. Not the busy kind, not the rushed kind, but the meaningful kind. The kind that tells your heart there's still something to show up for, that your presence still has a rhythm in this world. Science is catching up to what older generations have, long felt in their bones. When purpose fades, the body starts to retreat. Digestion slows, sleep becomes restless, mood becomes flat, and memory, especially short-term memory, loses its anchor. It's not just about staying busy, it's about staying engaged with life, with meaning, with yourself. Longevity isn't just about medication and avoiding illness. It's also about giving your mind a reason to wake up, not just your body. The longest living seniors across studies and across cultures all tend to share one trait in common. They do something each day that matters to them, even if it's small. Something that gives the day a beginning, a shape, and a reason to end. It with a satisfied exhale. I've known a woman in her 90s who starts each morning by feeding 2 stray cats that wait at her doorstep. That ritual to her is sacred. It is the thread that ties today to yesterday and the day before that. It tells her, you still belong here. Another man I met writes postcards to veterans every Thursday morning. Just 5. That's his mission. 5 small notes of kindness. His words don't reach the whole world, but they reach someone. And in return, they reach something within him. Daily purpose doesn't need to impress anyone. It just needs to be yours. Maybe it's watering your garden. Maybe it's sitting by the window at 4 p.m. to wave at school buses as they pass. Maybe it's folding laundry with care while listening to your favorite gospel. Whatever it is, give it your full attention. Give it meaning, because the body listens to what the heart believes. And when the heart believes there's nothing left to do, the body begins to shut down quietly, as if obeying. So if your mornings feel hollow, if your days seem to blend into one another, start by creating a ritual that matters only to you, not to keep busy, but to keep alive what still wants to live. And sometimes, even when you still have something to do each day, there's another quiet shift that begins, a soft retreat from people, not from loved ones necessarily, but from those small passing faces that once filled the background of life. The mail carrier you used to greet, the woman at the bakery who remembered your favorite loaf, the man who used to nod at you from across the street. These were never deep conversations, but they mattered. They were the gentle stitches that held the fabric of your day together without needing to explain why. Yet, as hearing fades, as energy dips, as walking becomes effort instead of ease, it's tempting to stay inside, to let others run errands, to wave less and speak less, and simply drift into a kind of polite invisibility. But what's lost in that quiet disappearance isn't just conversation. It's vitality. Because your nervous system was never built to operate in isolation. Those brief, seemingly trivial interactions help regulate stress, lift your mood, and stimulate brain activity. Without them, the world begins to feel distant, and the mind slowly follows. In many suburban neighborhoods across the US, you'll find entire streets of seniors living side by side, windows drawn, doors shut, surrounded by people yet untouched by them. It's not always loneliness that hurts. It's the slow erosion of being seen. Even when family still visits, even when you're not truly alone, the absence of small talk, shared glances, and casual laughter has a cost. The brain interprets that absence as a kind of quiet exile, and the body responds with fatigue, foggy memory, restless sleep, or a creeping sense of being untethered. But it doesn't have to be dramatic to be powerful. A wave from your porch, a comment to the cashier, a shared smile with a stranger. These are not social niceties, they are acts of survival. They signal that you still participate in the rhythm of life around you. I once watched an older man walk to the corner store every morning not to buy anything, but just to ask the clerk how their grandkids were doing. That was his anchor. That one question was his way of saying, I'm still part of this world, and that small exchange gave shape to the rest of his day. If you found yourself speaking less, initiating fewer conversations, or simply staying silent when you once would have said hello, gently notice that. Not with judgment, but with care. Because there is still a place for your voice in this world, even if it only says good morning to the person bagging your groceries. Don't underestimate how much those 30 seconds of connection tell your heart. You are not invisible here. The longest living adults often share this quiet trait. They keep reaching out, not loudly, not desperately, but consistently. They understand that being alive is not just breathing, it's belonging. And belonging, even in the smallest ways, keeps you rooted, keeps you remembered, keeps you well. And then there's the body, the part of us that once moved with certainty, now second-guesses itself. After a near fall, a slip in the bathroom, or simply a scare that didn't leave a bruise but lingered in the memory, something changes. We start to avoid steps. We hold the railing tighter. We sit longer before standing, and when we do stand, it's with hesitation, as if the world beneath our feet could shift at any moment. It's natural. Fear protects us. It reminds us to be careful. But when caution turns into withdrawal, when the goal becomes avoiding risk at all costs, the body starts to forget how to move altogether. And not just the legs or the joints, but the core, the balance, the quiet coordination that once helped us move through a doorway without thinking twice. In truth, aging doesn't weaken us as much as disuse does. The muscles don't retire when we do. They retire when we stop using them. And this is where many seniors begin to lose not just strength, but confidence. The inner belief that their bodies still know how to live. I once met a man who had given up reaching for items on the top shelf because he didn't want to risk falling. Over time, he stopped reaching altogether. His shoulders stiffened. His back rounded. His steps shortened. And before long, even getting out of a chair felt like a challenge, not because age had taken him, but because he had stopped taking his body with him. The sad part is, this decline feels so subtle that we convince ourselves it's normal. But what's normal isn't always necessary, and what's inevitable can often be softened, even reversed. Movement is not about fitness anymore. After 80, it's about staying lit from within. It's how the brain remembers that the body still matters, how circulation stays fresh, how organs stay alert, how posture reminds the mind, I am upright, I am still here. That doesn't mean pushing yourself to exhaustion. It means choosing motion with care, opening and closing your hands 5 times before meals, standing up and sitting down 3 times before reaching for the remote, walking to the end of the hallway before you sit with your paper. These acts don't seem like much, but they are. Messages sent to your muscles, your blood, and your balance. They say, stay online, stay with me. The seniors who live longest and most independently often don't live faster. They live deliberately. They engage their body like a garden, not a machine. A little water, a little sunlight, a little tending each day, not to chase youth, but to honor what still works. So if you've noticed yourself doing less, not because you must, but because fear told you to. Pay attention. Respect that fear, but don't let it write the ending. Because your body doesn't need to be strong to be alive. It just needs to stay in motion. And motion, even the gentlest kind, is how you remind it to stay. As we move deeper into the quieter seasons of life, it's not just our routines that shift, but the light around us and how we respond to it. Without meaning to, many older adults begin to live more in the shadow than in the sunlight. The curtains stay drawn a little longer, the mornings begin later, the evenings stretch on, bright with television screens, but dim of real rest. And yet we wonder why we feel so tired, even after what seems like a full night's sleep. The truth is, sleep at this stage of life is no longer just about hours, it's about rhythm. And rhythm begins with light. Our bodies were designed to follow the rising and setting of the sun. Morning light tells the brain to wake, to send energy outward, to begin renewal. Evening darkness signals it's time to slow, to repair, to let go. But in homes filled with artificial light and irregular habits, that natural clock begins to lose its way. And when it does, so do we. Many seniors find themselves dozing in the middle of the afternoon, then staring at the ceiling at midnight. The brain feels foggy, and the mood is unsettled. Memory slips not because it's fading, but because it hasn't had time to reset. And slowly, without realizing it, days lose clarity and nights lose depth. I once met a woman who lived alone in a quiet cul-de-sac. She had always been sharp, thoughtful, and active, but over time she started waking up more tired, more anxious, less herself. Her doctor found no clear cause, but when someone finally asked about her routine, she admitted she hadn't been outside in the morning for months. She ate breakfast under the kitchen light, watched television until late, and didn't sleep well. What helped her wasn't medicine, it was light. Within 2 weeks of simply opening the blinds at sunrise and turning off her screens an hour before bed, her energy shifted, her thinking cleared, her spirit lifted. And that's no miracle, it's biology. Because as we age, our ability to produce melatonin, our natural sleep hormone, declines. And so, the cues we give our body matter more, not less. Without enough morning light, our body doesn't know how to begin. And with too much evening light, it forgets how to rest. That imbalance wears down our immune system, our focus, and our ability to feel calm. But we can reset, we can realign, simply by stepping outside within an hour of waking, even if only to feel the air and let our eyes greet the sun, by dimming the lights after dinner, by exchanging one late-night program for a few pages of a book or quiet reflection. These are not luxuries, they are reminders that even after 80, the body wants order, the body wants peace, and when we give it light at the right time, we don't just improve sleep, we invite vitality back in, not through effort, but through rhythm. And rhythm is what keeps us living, not just longer, but with greater clarity and calm. And finally, we come to something quieter than movement, more subtle than light, but no less powerful, what we carry in our hearts. By the time we reach our 80s, most of us have said goodbye to someone we loved deeply, a spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend. And while the world might nod with sympathy, it often expects us to move on, to hold ourselves together, to be strong in silence. So we tuck it away. We smile politely. We say, "I'm fine," even when something inside us knows we're not. But grief doesn't vanish when ignored. It settles. It hides in the body, in the tension of the shoulders, in the weight of fatigue, in the emptiness of an appetite that just isn't there anymore. It shows up not always as tears, but as restlessness, as sadness that has no words, as a quiet detachment from things we once enjoyed. Emotional pain doesn't need to be loud to be real. And with each loss left unspoken, the heart becomes heavier, even when the face stays calm. I remember speaking with a man who had lost his wife after nearly 6 decades together. He didn't cry. He didn't want to. But his energy faded, his posture curled, his eyes seemed to lose their reach. What he needed wasn't a solution. He needed permission. To say, "I miss her," to speak her name without being told, he was dwelling. Because the truth is, unspoken sorrow lingers. And when it has no place to go, it turns inward. It burdens the immune system, it disturbs sleep, it hollows out joy. The body starts to shut down, not from age, but from the weight it was never meant to carry alone. Yet something remarkable happens when we give that grief room to breathe. It softens, it moves, it teaches, not through drama, but through release. A quiet moment of writing in a journal, a whispered memory at the edge of prayer, a photo held with both hands, and the words, "You mattered to me." The longest living elders aren't those who never felt pain. They are the ones who found ways to feel it without getting stuck inside it. They have safe outlets, sometimes a friend, sometimes a faith practice, sometimes a walk where they speak aloud to the trees. However gentle, however private, that space to grieve allows the heart to stay open. And when the heart remains open, so does the will to live. So if you've been carrying a name you haven't said aloud in years, if you've held back tears for fear they won't stop, know this: there's nothing wrong with sorrow. What's wrong is letting it have no voice. Because even in grief there is healing, and even in sadness there is strength. Not the kind that hides, but the kind that stands quietly beside the pain and says, "You are still here, you are still whole, and there is still more life to feel." The truth is, life after 80 doesn't fade because of one moment. It fades through slow habits we don't even realize are taking hold. But just as the body can decline gently, it can also heal gently. Through purpose, connection, movement, rhythm, and expression, we can breathe life back into our days. Aging gracefully isn't about avoiding time, it's about staying awake to what time still offers. So take one idea from today and carry it into tomorrow. And if something here reminded you of your own journey, please share it in the comments. Your story might be the light someone else needs.